In this episode of the Crafty Stitches Podcast, we're going to talk about my finished projects, which is my candy cane stripes socks, as well as a new design that I've started and I finished the first sock of that. We're going to talk about works in progress, which is my Embers shawl and a new cast on, which is a pair of socks. So let's get started. Good day everyone. My name is Mariette, also known as the Boervrou, and this is episode 33 of the Crafty Stitches Podcast. Today is Wednesday, the 22nd of March 2023, and I'm coming to you from South Africa. Today I am wearing my second ranunculus that I have knitted. This is made in Moya 100% cotton yarn. It is a hand-dyed yarn, and this colorway is called Amethyst. And as I said, it's my second ranunculus that I've knitted and the best fitting one of the two. All of my project pages is linked down below, and you can go and have a look if you are interested. Right, so let's get started with this episode. I have some finished objects, and the first finished object of this episode is my candy cane stripes socks by the Crazy Sock Lady. So in the previous episode, my first sock was done, just this one, and I have finished the second sock, which in the previous episode we were here. I knit these toe up, even though the pattern is written for cuff down. I knit the toe up with my heel flap and gusset construction. Yes, I'm very happy with these socks. This little stitch marker that I'm using as a progress keeper is from Annegret from Pincushion Crafts. Let me take it out. I can maybe use it on something else. So yes, that is my pair of socks that I have finished, and I am very happy with how this came out. The leg is a little bit longer than I would usually do, so if I were to knit this socks again, I would definitely eliminate the repeat of this sand color. I will just, I think, do it once and have a little bit of a shorter leg, because then my cuff would have started there. But anyway, I'm not mad about it. I just think I prefer a little bit of a shorter leg. Maybe I will like the longer leg in winter time. I shall see when I wear them this winter. I used mostly Knotty Habit yarns for these socks, which is the Knotty Habit Kaiso base, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and it is 366 meters on 100 grams. So the only yarn on this sock that is not Knotty Habit is this green color. It is the Cowgirl Blues proper sock. Is that focusing? I don't know. It is the Cowgirl Blues proper sock in the colorway Guinea Fowl, which is also 75% wool and 25% nylon, and it also has 366 meters on 100 grams. So I actually went and measured the yarns that I used for this pair. Maybe I must just start with the sizing. So I knit the 64 stitch sock. I started toe up, and I knit the first sock, and then it did not fit over my heel, so I ripped back to the heel. So my socks are knit 64 stitches until after the heel, and then I did an increase round up to the next size, which is a 72 stitch sock, and then I did the leg on 72 stitches, and just before the cuff I did a decrease round again back to 64 stitches for the cuff. So my socks is a mixture of 68 stitches and 64 stitches and 72 stitches, and I did it in the amount of rounds as per the pattern. So the yarns that I've used for this pair is for the brown, which is my main color, I used 75 grams of yarn, and then the sand color, which is repeated 3 times in the leg and 3 times in the foot, I used 12 grams of that. And for the rest of the colors I've used about 4 grams each, and that is now for the pair of socks, so which means I used about 2 grams per sock of the contrast colors. So in total I used about 102-103 grams. My scale is a bit jumping around a bit on certain ones, but I would say 4 grams total for my 64, 67, 72 stitch sock. I did use the recommended needles for the socks, which was a 2.25 for the plain knitting parts and 2.5 for the color work parts. I started out the first sock with 9-inch circulars for the plain knitting and magic loop for the color work part, but then I got myself some 9-inch circulars as well in 2.5 millimeter, and that went very nicely. I really enjoyed knitting that. I also knit the sock inside out while I was knitting on the color work parts, so that my floats are on the outside of the sock and therefore stretches a little bit more, I think. Because it's on the outside circumference is a little bit bigger than the inside, and on the inside you tend to be able to pull the floats a little bit shorter, I would say. So I did knit the color work parts inside out. Alright, and then I did a 2x2 ripped cuff. I'm not sure, I cannot remember what the pattern recommends, but that is what I did, and then I bound off with a 3.25 millimeter 9-inch circular with the Jenny Surprisingly Stretchy bind off, like I do for my own pattern socks. That just works best for me, and that makes sure that the bind off is not too tight and cutting into my leg. I think that is it for this pair of socks. Very happy with it. I actually cast this pair of socks on in December, and it was part of Michelle from Happy Ever Yarns color work knit a sock with me type of thing that she make along that she hosted in December, and I only finished it in March. But anyway, I finished the pair of socks, so I'm very happy with that. This was my first stranded colorwork knitting project, and I learned a lot from it. And one of the things that I learned is that stranded colorwork is not as stretchy as normal stocking stitch in one color, so you would have to have less negative ease, and I think that is what my problem was with the first leg that I knit that wouldn't fit over my heel. Because my socks have quite a lot of negative ease because I like a nice snug fitting sock. I think that is everything for this pair of socks, and let's move on to the next project. It is half a finished project, but I'm gonna show it to you anyway. Let me just get the sock blocker because it is another sock. Now this sock filled me with so much joy. It is just amazing. So this is going to be a new sock design. I've already finished writing up the pattern, and I will be casting on the second sock as per my pattern and just checking that all of my instructions work out. But this is the sock. Very, very happy with how it turned out. It is just gorgeous. And one nice thing about it is it's very mindless. It's almost the same as knitting a vanilla sock, I would say. It just flew off the needles. I enjoyed knitting it so much that I could not put it down. So this design is made with the Knotty Habit sock yarn again. This was from the Sock Club. This first one for 2023. It was in the Elizabeth colorway, and it is also the 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon blend. This was dyed in a speckled clusters colorway, I guess. But I suspect the colorway was specifically designed just for the sock club. And this is what it looks like in the cake. It is a beautiful bright fuchsia pink, I would say, with some purple and light pink speckles. And the mini is like a little semi-solid that came with it. Very, very beautiful. And I love the way that the speckles look if you look in the stockinette side here where the rows are the same stitch counts, the speckles is in specific orders, whereas where I increased for the gusset, you can see there is little bits of pieces where there's the speckles is a little bit more on top of each other, and then they spread out again, which is so fun. I really enjoyed this. So I will talk a little bit more about this in the news section, but this is another half finished project that I have. And I also knit these on 2.25mm needles, my 9-inch circulars, and I think that is it for this. I will talk about the pattern in the news section a little bit more. Alright, that is everything that I've finished for this episode. And I think we can move over to what I have on my hook and needles. So my works in progress. Alright, my first work in progress is my Ember shawl that I have been crocheting. I did a little bit more on it between the previous episode and this one. And I am almost finished with color A, which we are not sure is going to make it, but yes. And there you can also see that the yarn cake cozy really grabs onto the yarn and keeps it nice and neat until basically the end of your project. So that is what I have left, and I still need to do a increase round with the shells, and then I'm supposed to do this band where color A and color B gets mixed up a little bit. Not sure if I'm going to do that, but we shall see. Anyway, let me show you what the shawl looks like at the moment. So this, oh, and this color, by the way, is very hard to get true on camera, so I hope it's gonna look okay on screen. but this is what I have so far. Can't really get it in the screen. Let me do that. Maybe that will help. Okay, so in the previous episode I was at that little beautiful stitch marker from Annegret from Pincushion Crafts, and I did quite a bit because the rows are getting quite long. I think at this moment we're at about 260 stitches per row. So yes, this is beautiful. It's a beautiful purple. It is a beautiful purple with hints of violet and navy-ish color, but the purple comes through when the light hits the yarn. It's really, really pretty. I hope that it comes through on screen. Anyway, so I still have to do one of these shell rows, and as I said, the 2 rows before color B starts. But I'm loving this. I think it is going to be beautiful. I've never blocked a crochet shawl before. I actually crocheted a shawl before. I don't know, can't remember. But this will be my first 100% merino crochet shawl that I've ever made. So I'm really excited to see how that is going to come out. I don't know how blocking actually works with merino yarns in crochet. We shall find out. But anyway, the reason why I'm wondering about maybe not doing the, let's call it a transition border between color A and color B, is because the pattern is actually written for a gradient yarn, 3 yarns of the same color that's like dyed in a gradient, as I understand it. But I'm using contrasting colors, and this is my darkest color. So what I was thinking is after I finished doing the shell increase row, I'm going to take out all of the markers and I'm going to wash and block it first and keep it attached to whatever I have left in the cozy, and first see if it bleeds and how much it bleeds, if it does. And then if it bleeds quite a bit, I might just skip doing the 2 colors for the transition border and maybe just go over in the next color and do everything in that color, so that I just have a stop of the one and start of the next one. But I will decide when I put this into the bath and see how it does. Alright, I've talked a lot about this one. Okay, I'm making this in Miss Lamotte singles. This is 100% superwash merino wool in singles, approximately 360 meters on 100 grams, and this colorway is called Midnight. It is the first time also that I am crocheting with singles, so quite enjoyed the process. Really enjoyed the shawl. So let me move this marker quickly before I forget. I'm really enjoying the shawl, but I would love to move on to the next section and color just for a little bit of something else. Alright, I'm also using the recommended hook size for this project, which is a 4mm hook, and I did not gauge swatch, so we shall still find out how much I was off after blocking this when I check the size. Alright, so that is my shawl, and that is the progress on that project. Good. One more to go. My next project is a pair of socks for my husband. I'm knitting this with my own pattern, the DB toe-up socks. I did ask him if I can maybe do a patterned sock, like a texture sock or something, but he just said that the yarn is pretty enough and I must just keep doing what I've always done for him, which is vanilla socks. So that is what I'm doing. As the name suggests, it's toe up sock pattern with a heel flap and gusset. So this is what the yarn looks like that I'm going to use, or I'm using for this pair of socks. It is the Regia 4-ply, which is 75% virgin wool and 25% polyamide. It is the color 07709, and on Arthur Bale's website where I bought this, it says the colorway name is Snowflake, and it's 420 meters on 100 grams. So I basically just cast this on and then started my new sock design and got totally distracted. So this one will get a little bit more love now because I actually need these needles to cast on the second sock for the new design. So I'm still increasing the toe. This is what it looks like so far. Just a little bit of toe. Now I like working with this yarn. So I'm also keeping this yarn in one of my 100-gram yarn cake cozies. This is one of the first ones that was still made in acrylic yarn, with a crab stitch border. Anyway, beautiful yarn cake cozies that changed my life. So that is the socks. I'm knitting this on 2.25mm needles, and it will be a 68 stitch sock as I usually do. And I think that is all for this sock project. Let me just add this little marker. This beautiful marker was made by Itsy Klein, and it was made exclusively for the sock club boxes. So I'm adding it to this sock to keep the progress. Alright, that is my sock. And I think I have talked about all of the projects that I have currently on the needles. I did start to re-knit a wrist warmer that I've knitted before, but previously when I knitted it on 2.5mm needles. So I took my 2.5mm 9-inch circular and cast it on because I wanted to re-knit it in the same shape as I did the ones that fit me best, but it came out too big. So I did rip it back, and I have not casted it on yet again, so maybe we shall see that in next episode. In my previous episode I was talking about some things that I wanted to cast on that I had to wait a little bit for, but unfortunately I did not get to that yet, but I'll share my plans with you for that. So what I was talking about was that I want to knit the Stone Crop Cardi by Andrea Mowry. I decided last year that every year on my birthday, or in my birthday month, I'm going to cast on a project that I want to knit. Not necessarily a cardigan or a garment, whatever I would like to knit. So I decided on the Stone Crop Cardi by Andrea Mowry. I'm not going to knit it cropped though. It is quite short for my liking, so I will definitely be changing that. I will also be knitting this project as part of Michelle from Happy Ever Yarns Colorwork Make Along, I will put the details on the screen here so that you can check it out and go over and check her channel for more details if you would like to participate. I think the make-along runs from March to October, if I have it correctly, but just go and check out the hashtag and the post that she made on Instagram, and where she talked about it on a channel, and then maybe you can join that too. Anyway, I think that is all of the plans, and we can move on to find out what's been happening. Last week's video was part one of a little series that I'm putting together of tips for beginner sock knitters. I will link that down below and up above for you so that you can look at that if you maybe missed that and if you're interested. On the 26th of March 2023, we will be having our next Scrappy Sunday chat. It will be a live chat that I'm hosting with my friend Leanie from Independence Yarn Croft. And that will be at 5 p.m. South African Standard Time. The next episode of the Scrappy Sunday chat will be on the 26th of March 2023 at 5 p.m. South African Standard Time. The Scrappy Sunday chat is a live chat that I host with my friend Leanie from Independence Yarn Croft, and where we talk about all our scrappy projects and the Battenberg make-along that we are hosting for the next 2 years, 2023 and 2024. We will be having a live slideshow of the participant makes. We will share about our blankets and all of the other things that we were working on. So we hope to see you there, and it will also be linked down below. So we hope to see you there on Sunday afternoon. Come join us. It will be a lot of fun. Right, and then my birthday was on the 13th of March. It was a very, very lovely Monday. We went out a little bit to a place called Random Harvest. It is a nursery, but they also have like a guest house, if I understand it correctly. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. They have a little restaurant inside the nursery, like a tea garden, and yeah, it is a beautiful, beautiful place. We really, really enjoyed it a lot. Then, because it was my birthday, I got some gifts. So I was very fortunate to receive the Naughty Habit Sock Club box as a birthday gift from a fellow podcaster. That was such a nice gesture. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it a lot. As you can see, I already made a sock with my box, so I'll put a picture up of the sock box if you haven't seen that. So that was a very nice surprise, and I really, really appreciated it. It's a very nice gesture. I also got this beautiful pattern as a birthday present. I'm looking forward to casting it on as well. So it is the Bella blouse. What is very nice about this pattern is that it is knit from the bottom up, but it's got 3 different options. So you can knit the short sleeve or the sleeveless version, and if you don't like it, you can just add sleeves to it. So it's very nice, it's customizable, and I'm looking forward to trying this pattern out. I have so many ideas and so many things I would like to make, but that is definitely on my list of things that I would like to make. I'm also thinking of making it in merino yarn so that I can try out how it will wear for me in the summer, but if it's too hot for me, I can just add sleeves. As I said, I designed another sock pattern with my birthday gift, the Naughty Habit yarns, the speckle yarns. So this pattern is not ready for purchase yet. I still have to knit my second sock of this pair and finalize and just make sure that all of my instructions is right. But this sock will be called the Felicity Socks, and the reason I chose this name is because of the joy that this patterning brought me. So Felicity means a state of happiness, and that is exactly how I felt when I made this. So this will be the Felicity Socks. So you can have a look out for that. I will definitely let you all know when this pattern is ready, but very excited about this. As you could have seen from my other sock project that didn't get much love, and I cast that on before this. So anyway, that is the socks, and I think that is all that I want to say about that. Oh no, it's not. So this sock pattern will also be written in such a way that it is written toe up with the heel flap and gusset, but if you don't like to knit toe up, you can use your favorite cuff down sock recipe and just plug in this panel, and you can just work it from the top down. It will work exactly the same for toe up as it will work for cuff down as well as for toe up. So if you just like this patterning, you will be able to take this and knit the sock cuff down if you like. Right, so that is the pattern. I think that is everything for the pattern. Good. Right, so the next part is the podcast recommendations for this episode. I have two as usual. The first one is I'll Knit If I Want To. So this is Andrea Mowry. She doesn't have a weekly sit down podcast where she talks about what she's making, but she every week sits down and answers some questions that viewers sent her to be answered. And I always find it so interesting because you always learn a lot of the techniques and things that people ask her about. She is a knitwear designer, and her podcast has very, very valuable information in them. She also, underneath all of her podcasts, link the questions that she answers in them. So if you're looking for something specifically, you can check out the descriptions of her podcasts, and all of the questions is linked there. So if you have a similar question, you can check out that episode. So I will link her down below. It is something that I really recommend watching, as you learn a lot from listening to all of the questions that she answers. It's very interesting. Right, the second podcast recommendation is Lulu Loves Crochet podcast. This is Emma from the UK. She's a crochet book author and a crochet designer, and she designed lots of patterns for books and publications and so forth. I will also link that down below for you, and you can check those two out if you might be interested in that. Well, that is everything that I have for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed the episode. If you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. If you are new, I hope that you enjoyed this podcast episode and you will consider subscribing to the channel. So that is everything from me. If you liked this episode, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you'd like to see any more of my content. And I will see you in the next one. Until next time, happy crafting. Bye.